Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Dr. Jeff May, and welcome to another episode of Doctor's Orders, Advice You Should Actually Take. This is the podcast where I sit here in front of a microphone, alone pretty much in a room, and share with you the things that I see that I know. Being in healthcare for the past 17 years, I know are absolutely destroying America. I'll pray for other countries, but listen, I am red, white, and blue through and through. And when it comes to the purpose that God put me on this planet for, it's to help inspire, move, and motivate those to become healthier, happier, and more productive, not just for single individuals, but for families. And when families get healthy, become under the leadership of the household, then we know that like neighborhoods become healthy. And when neighborhoods become healthy, it expands and it becomes communities become healthy. And when communities become healthy, counties become healthy. And when counties become healthy, then states become healthy. And that's what it's really all about, is because we've got to create a ripple effect. It will not happen from the government. It will not happen from big pharma, and it will not happen from big food industries. It absolutely won't. When you go into and expect to get health advice from a business-based culture, they're going to do what's in their best interest. They're going to do what's going to help profit the boards and the people that they take orders from. So ultimately, most often than not, you're probably going to a doctor who's stuck in a system, who's being paid by the insurance companies, who's being told by the insurance companies what they can and cannot say. Yes, there are actual gag orders inside insurance contracts. I've seen them. I've eliminated them. I've actually gotten out of every single insurance contract that is absolutely possible within the state of Minnesota, because I am not going to work for an insurance company when it comes to helping people become healthier, happier, more productive. I won't do it. I won't be sold out. I won't be, bait and switched by a dollar figure on a check. I absolutely won't. And so that a lot of times has you going against the current, against, the mainstream media, feeling like you're swimming upstream all the time. But yet the beautiful thing on the other side of it, when you see patients break through, when you see them and you get to sit down with them and they get to share their story, they get to share their testimonial, that's the beautiful part, because ultimately far too many people are dying from cancer, heart disease, and diabetes and obesity. Like, we got to realize that comorbidity factors, including obesity, is one of the biggest problems, no pun intended, that's absolutely robbing us of quality of life. You see, it's just not healthy when it comes down to it. This isn't judgment against individuals that are overweight or obese or massively morbid obese. It's about ignoring the feelings that come from the label, but using those feelings to the point, like ignoring them and saying that's not me, and accepting it. It's like, I want to do things to change. And ultimately, you can become healthier. You can get on the other side of it. And it may have to take a lot of work, and it's blood, sweat, and tears. But if that's what it takes to get your life back and quality of life, is it not worth it? That's the question I have for you. Is it not worth beating these odds, beating the stories that you've let yourself run with for probably quite some time in your life? And it may be like, well, my mom and dad were like this way, my grandparents were like this way. Well, guess what? It's a good time for you not to be that way, because if it's not putting you in a position of advantage, it's putting you in a position of disadvantage. And if you continually accept and put yourselves in scenarios and stories of disadvantage, then you can never expect to rise to the level at which your life could actually reach. You see, you were born with a purpose. You were born with a reason on earth. I truly believe that. I don't think that there's chaos in the universe. I think there's an order. And ultimately, we all have the ability to do good. We all have the ability to make things better. And it's never going to be perfect. Guess what? This side of heaven, it's never going to be perfect. But let me ask you this question. Is it worth doing the work to have your life be better? Is it worth doing the work to have your life better? Because ultimately, if you listen to what the government tells us about our healthcare and big food, and we follow the food pyramid that we all learned in third grade or whatever, we're going to be sick. We are absolutely going to be sick, because we have the best sick care system in the world, meaning that if there's an emergency, if there's a, heaven forbid, a gunshot wound or a car accident, broken bones, slip, trips, falls, blood, those emergency crisis care situations, there is no better place to be than in the United States of America. Yet infant mortality in the United States, it's not a great place to have a kid. It's really not. Have you looked at this lately? Out of industrialized country overall, and there's grading scales, and we can look at this. The United States ranks near the bottom, like 37th out of industrialized country. I can't even name 37 countries like ahead of what I thought the US would be, but we're 37th. So I can't even name like 36 countries that would be ahead of us. But that's pathetic. Now, why am I going on a rant right out the gate on this? It's because there's this thing called direct-to-consumer advertising. And there's only 2 countries in the entire world that allow DTCA advertising. It's the United States of America and New Zealand. And I wonder if that influences people when they say, hey, you know what? I saw this commercial and it talked about feeling older and having, better sleep, more energy. And those are things I could really use because my sleep sucks. My energy is way bad. Man, it's been going downhill. Oh, I got to ask the doctor about this drug by name. Like, it just says at the end, it says, after all the stuff, it says you're going to have explosive diarrhea. Your insides are going to turn outsides and all the other things. You may turn purple, all those side effects. Yeah. After all of that, it says, hey, ask your doctor if this is right for you. Well, guess what your doctor works for? Your doctor works for probably a board of medical, maybe the hospital board, maybe, just the board that runs the practice. Like they may be not an entrepreneur. They may not own their own practice and all those things. And so they have to answer to something. And oh, by the way, this smoke show of a drug care rep, they showed up the other week and they were talking about this drug that helps you sleep better and helps you have more energy. And they gave me a really cool pen and they maybe took me out for lunch or whatever it may be. And I didn't really, listen to exactly what they said, but they really sounded like they knew what they were talking about. So like, it's got to be a good drug. Like it wouldn't be dangerous if the FDA approved it because the FDA has never unapproved a drug that they've always approved. In fact, guess what? Every drug that the FDA has ever recalled once was approved. Oh, shocking. Let's look at Vioxx or not. Don't do that unless you really want to have the truth and have the blinders pulled off. And so that's what you really got to ask yourself is like, is more drugs the way to health? Is a sick care protocol the way to get to health? You see, you'll never out-medicate a behavior pattern. What I mean by that is that you're never going to out-medicate a lifestyle pattern that you continue to live that leads you in one direction. Think about this, like if you're driving down the road and there's an off-ramp, like there's an exit, right? And you take that exit, it's going to take you somewhere other than where you were going. Would you agree? Would you agree that changing a direction will lead you to a different destination? Well, as you do that, you realize that as you apply certain protocols in your life, it's going to have a specific result. And what I mean is that you can't behave in a sick care fashion and expect to get health care on the other side of that. It's absolutely impossible. And a lot of times we don't slow down to think about it because we got to go to little Johnny's baseball game. Oh, and little Sally, she's got a soccer match and we got to do this and we got to talk to the husband or the wife and make sure we coordinate this schedule with this schedule and all pack lunches. And then we got work on top of that. And our boss has those deadlines and all those other things. And oh man, we got to go camping this weekend and there's 14 graduation parties. Am I speaking to anybody's life right now? Like you don't have to nod. And if you're with your spouse, maybe you just look down because I'm coming for you. I'm coming for everybody listening to this because we live in this life. And this is the facts and these are the truths of the life that we live in the United States. And my thing is that I've sat in front of way too many patients that are in a stage of life where they realize that, man, I have less time on this earth than the time I've already been here. And they may not have enough time to course correct and do what's necessary in order to get a different health result. And if you don't have health, you don't have anything because health is wealth. Bill Gates died with more money than I'll ever see in my entire life. And yet he cannot use any of it for another second here on this earth. Like he can't. His time is up. He's absolutely done. He's dead. He's gone. So what are you going to do with the time you have? So many people think about like, oh man, I don't know what it's like to, or they might have a fear of death and man, I don't want that. And they get scared and they play scared, right? There's a reason it says in the Bible 365 times, do not fear. Maybe we need to have that reminder each and every day. And maybe God knew that because there are fearful things, but God is calling us to say, and he says, do not fear. And that's where we have to really step into faith. And are you doing what's necessary to become healthy? Are you doing the basics? Because ultimately, it's kind of like math class. Like you can't go to advanced algebra if you can't do simple addition. That's just a fact of life. Like you want to play in the big leagues. You want to be up there doing rocket science and figuring out all these advanced quadratic equations, and you can't even get past 2 + 2 because you refuse to actually get good sleep and hydrate your body and take care of your spine and nervous system. Like those are the basic conversations we have with patients. And if you're not willing to do that, well, guess what? You can't collect $200 if you don't pass go. My friends, it's about fundamentals. Health and healthcare and healthy lifestyles are found in the fundamentals. And if you find yourself in a place where you're not enjoying the fruits of being healthy, if you're finding actually that you're in that place of rotten fruit, so to speak, of lifestyle diseases, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, early onset of dementia, all those things, you have that in your family and you see that, realize that it may not be genetic. It may be that because there's things that run in your family that's not genetic, but it's called habits. And those habits will produce a certain result. So what I'm saying is that if you're not happy with the result and you're not doing anything to change that, you are living in a land of insanity. And that is the only thing I can do for you, is pray for you in that scenario. If that's you, I pray for you. I pray that you wake up. I pray that you start making changes. I pray that you start asking better questions. Hey, what do I need to do to actually be healthy? What do I need to do to reduce the amount of medications that my doctors are saying that I'm going to have to take the rest of my life? You know how many patients I've sat in front of? And they've gotten off gabapentin, they've gotten off metformin, they've gotten off ADHD drugs, they've gotten off depression and anxiety medications because they started doing the things that actually produce health. You wouldn't like right now, all the farmers, they're just kind of finishing up. They got their corn in, they're finishing up their beans. And you wouldn't plant a field of beans with corn seeds and expect beans to grow. What do I mean by that? Is that the things that we plant in our life, our habits, if they're not seeds of things that actually produce health, but we expect health, we're kidding ourselves. Like if you planted a garden this year and you planted tomato seeds in the ground and carrots popped up, you'd be like, man, those are weird tomatoes. No, you probably planted carrot seeds. And see, so many people are planting seeds of sickness in their life day to day, and yet they're waking up hoping someday, somewhere, crossing their fingers, crossing their toes, whatever it may be, that they're going to wake up healthy. You know, you're planting seeds of sickness. You need to start planting seeds of health. So what are the seeds of health? That's what we do in our office. That's what we do at Advantage Health Center, 150 El Dorado Drive in Jordan, Minnesota, 55352, every single day of the week for the past 17 stinking years. So I want to leave you with that. I want to leave you with those questions. Father's Day is coming up. Men, you got to get a hold of your health if you want to lead. Nobody follows a sick leader. And whether you like it or not, if you're a dad, you're a leader. That's how it works. That's how it works. So take that for what you will. Those are your doctor's orders. I pray this message hits you where the good Lord splits you, and we'll talk to you next time.